The stock market is back at all-time highs, and Trump is already initiating a lot of executive orders, as well as this Stargate AI project, this infrastructure with Oracle, OpenAI, and SoftBank. Let's talk about it today. We've got to have a lot of heads on swivels, as I like to say around here. Where are we headed? And right now, the bulls are in control. There's a lot of hype and a lot of bullish nature with money being injected into the markets, especially after this inauguration. So this was expected. However, hey, as always, with a Trump market, if you've never traded it, there's a lot of volatility. So we are ultimately headed higher. But do we go directly there to finish off this week? Right after the inauguration week, very similar to election. And then we head into some very key earnings. So let's talk about it today, everybody. Welcome into the channel. Thank you so much for being here. My name is Dr. B. I'm a holistic life and business coach and strategist for entrepreneurs and thought leaders, options and futures trader and investor. And I'm here to hopefully just to provide some information, some value. I've been trading for the last 6 years, actively investing over 10 plus years. And hey, built a business primarily in the coaching consulting space, as some of you know. And thank you so much for being here. All of the good news and the good support and the kind messages from everybody, just providing value here. And if you enjoyed my teaching style, thank you so much for that. I'll continue on as much as possible here on this platform to provide you value. Make sure you tap in with that like and that subscribe button. Turn on those notifications. A lot of you are watching and coming from other videos, and all I would ask is just, hey, there's more to come, so I may want to be notified with a live or another video that's coming up. So make sure you do that for me. If you don't mind, that would really help, and I would be appreciative of it. All right. As always, I got to pay some quote unquote bills, or just mention where you can go after this. All right. We do have a Discord platform. We do have a community outside of just this free public platform here. So if you do want to get in a more controlled environment where you can ask questions, be around like-minded people, you can join our Leverage University or our Thought Leader Hub. If you're just, hey, I just want to grow, I want to have a community, I want to have a cohort of individuals, you can join our Thought Leader Hub and get access to those channels to develop your mindset, your psychology, your business acumen, become part of our book club, get invited to new events, discounts, things of that nature. Obviously have some financial credit and also some stock picks in there. If you want the full experience and you want to join our university level, that is the most popular, where most people start. And then if you do need a little bit of one-on-one attention, you can join there in full, or you can pay a monthly subscription and have mentorship from myself, where you have a private chat and we jump on some Zoom calls as well. All right. With that being said, let's jump into the value here. We've got this Stargate project, okay? This Stargate AI infrastructure. And a lot of people are wondering, hey, where'd this come from? What is it? Should I keep investing into AI? Where's a good entry point? So as always, what I like to do is start off with the fundamentals, which are going to be the news and the information that we're receiving right here in front of us, and then jump on the charts, which is our technical analysis, and see where some proper entry points are if you did miss these moves, okay? So if you don't know what this is, U.S. president, now new president, second term, Donald Trump, has announced a private sector investment to fund infrastructure for AI with the goal of outpacing rival nations in the business critical technology. So for those of you that do know, for those of you that don't know, a lot of countries under previous regimes, right, we'll just move forward from that, may have been losing the AI race or the technology race just based off of money, based off pushing forward in that space, even though we do have a lot of powerful companies here in the US, obviously. But hey, a lot of folks have been thinking that, hey, we're behind on the AI race. Okay. So Trump is looking to put the US back on the top with this new private sector investment, calling the largest AI infrastructure project in history by far. It will build data centers, create more than 100,000 jobs in the US. Okay. These are companies. Equity backers of Stargate is the name. Announcing the Stargate project is a new company which intends to invest $500 billion over the next 4 years, building new AI infrastructure for OpenAI in the United States. We will begin deploying $100 billion immediately. And the companies that are a part of this or that will benefit will obviously be a lot of the technology companies, ARM, NVIDIA, Microsoft. That is why those companies pumped today, which is the 22nd of January. Okay, so this article came out on the 22nd, obviously today, but there was news prior to this on the 20th and the 21st that he was announcing this project, but the companies necessarily weren't necessarily released just yet. Okay, you can see here is a joint venture between OpenAI, obviously associated in a sense with Microsoft, Oracle, SoftBank, and hey, another news. So there's your information. Where's the money going? You can look at these companies and research them, but where's the money going? Requires a significant amount of infrastructure and power in order to train, solve many problems at once, store and process large data sets, AI systems. For this, there's a need for facilities. So there'll be actual physical facilities with thousands of computer chips, hardware, software. The build out is currently underway as campuses are being evaluated across the US, starting obviously from Texas. No surprise there. So let's jump into this article right here, which is talking about Elon. Elon claimed overnight that Tuesday, the tech giants OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank don't even have enough money to put forth towards this $500 billion investment. So that's a little bit of, I thought it was supposed to be his right-hand man, but hey, the Tesla and SpaceX CEO made the comment just hours after President Donald Trump unveiled the massive project at the White House. They don't actually have the money, wrote in response to OpenAI post on its social platform, dubbed the Stargate project. SoftBank has well under 10 billion secured. I have that on good authority. Trump's biggest financial backer by far in the 2024 election, which is interesting. Obviously, Musk currently chairs a major White House government efficiency effort, Doge. Okay. So all this is very interesting. And then here's Sam Altman, OpenAI CEO, wrong as you surely know, want to come visit the first site that's already underway. So we got some billionaire drama going on. All right. So just wanted to share that Musk undercuts Trump. We've got these three companies and obviously more in the AI race. But are we headed into a bubble? Are we going to continue higher? Do not want to bet against big tech. Do not want to bet against AI in the future. But I'll just be the devil's advocate here is that, hey, we're investing into technology, yet people are still struggling to find jobs. People are still struggling to pay off credit card debt. People are struggling and trying to figure out how they have their consumer, just their consumer goods that they're going to pay for, their groceries, their gas, their eating out, whatever it might be, just the basic necessities of the property taxes. And obviously those things will get handled, but this is the first thing that gets introduced. Very interesting, right? And again, you can't control anything outside of yourself. And you're starting to see already that if this amount of money is going to be poured into the markets, companies, technology, obviously driving jobs in specific directions they want to drive it, more automation, where does that leave the average individual, right? Where does that leave just the average working person, right? So it's very interesting that this wealth gap that you've been hearing a lot of content creators talk about and thought leaders talk about, that, hey, if you don't get involved or pay attention in some form or fashion, you're going to get left behind. All right, so let's jump in the charts. My favorite place because it tells us exactly. So let's jump into some of the companies here. Obviously, Microsoft, one of the leaders here. As you can see off of that news, it popped today. It gapped up right here. You see the 21st at the bottom of my screen, then the 22nd. Right at market open, it already gapped up overnight with that news, and it went from 436 to 447, about a 10-point move, up about almost 4.5% from yesterday's close. Okay. Now, from the technical perspective, we can go higher up to this 450 level, obviously with a lot of the tech earnings coming up, as you can see here, towards the end of this month. So does this factor into the continuous bullish tech run that we have? Microsoft takes off with good earnings. Apple's coming up. Do they rebound from being knocked down pretty dramatically as of late? Do we have NVIDIA? Do we have all these companies, Google, Tesla coming up? Just a plethora of our magnificent seven that will be coming up towards the end of the month. And it's very interesting how this chart is looking. It's looking very, very bullish from Microsoft perspective. So we shall see. But also, technicals never lie. So you still got to respect these levels above. Okay. So what I want you to watch is this little bitty resistance right here that we have at 447. You can see that last time it got up to 447. That was a little bit of resistance right there, previous support. So I want to watch this 447, 448 level and see if we can get through that. If we can get through that and start mounting above, obviously we're trying to retest this 455 level on Microsoft. So I want to make sure that it can get through that level, and it might be earnings, and then we're back to all-time highs. Those are our two breakthrough points that we want, is 450 to start getting above there, and then 455, and ultimately most likely trying to head towards that 500 mark. Okay. 480 and then 500, breaking out to new all-time highs for Microsoft. So be on watch for that. But also, I do protect my downside as well. So anytime that you feel like you're chasing on a move, right? We went from 410 to 446 in roughly a week time span, 5 days. So does this warrant a potential pullback, right, into their earnings? Potentially, right? So I want to watch for any type of pullback, whether we get a 1 to 2 to 3% pullback on these tech companies, to pick them up on the dip and then see how their earnings react. Okay. So Microsoft, pay attention to them, obviously, from this Stargate news. Okay. Let's jump into Oracle. Okay. Now, interesting enough, this always happens. I always tell my community members and my clients, I'm like, I feel like I'm always a day early, and then the next day I'm looking to get in, or the next day I'm looking to pull the trigger, craziness goes on. Okay. So if you know, you know. All right. So I want to show you this here. Now, this was more related to, I'm going to go into, so this is our Discord in our trading floor. And on the 20th, I said, hey, Oracle may hold TikTok's future in its hands. And because TikTok came back on the scene, obviously from President Trump, then now I looked at Oracle as an opportunity to get in on the 21st. Now, I wanted a little bit more kind of data behind this, and I was researching. I was like, okay, I'm going to look at some contracts. I'm going to pick up some shares. And next thing you know, Stargate comes out and Oracle just shoots through the moon, where I was looking to get in right around this 165 break area, and it shoots all the way up to 191. Okay. So now I got to wait for Oracle to somewhat pull back. Okay. Somewhat pull back after this massive move here on this weekly candle, which was about almost 20% move, 20% move in 1 week. All right. You can see here on the RSI, our relative strength index, which gives us an idea of overbought and oversold levels. Okay. So ideally, I'd want Oracle to pull back and retest somewhere in the 170s. So I would love about a $10 pullback, hopefully to this area of interest, this 172 that we broke out of, and see if we can get that pullback. But obviously, I want to pay attention to psychological levels, which would be roughly around that 180 level and 175 level. Okay, you can see here that we have an area of interest, previous highs of consolidation right there. There was formerly resistance. They could turn into an area of support, which is right around that 175 area. So if I can get some type of pullback into this 175 area, that'd be a partial gap fill. Then I'll be looking to pick up Oracle back in this area if it does decide to hold up and then run back to highs. Okay. So that's why the technicals are very important, because people begin to chase. Okay. They begin to chase, and you've got to understand that if I'm already in Oracle, and I see Oracle and I got in at 165 and I wake up and Oracle's up $30, I'm probably going to take my profits too. I'm not going to wait. Okay. So that's why the technicals are very, very important. But it does have bullish momentum. It does have a catalyst behind it. All right. So pay attention to Oracle, put your alerts on for that 175, 170 area. If it can pull back just slightly, or it begins to just mount above 180. If it continues to hold above 180, it's not going anywhere anytime soon, any lower. Okay. So ultimately trying to go to that 200 mark again. All right. Not again, but break into 200 plus, which I think it's very easy for Oracle to do, which it never really pulled back from its last earnings, right? You see this gap up, pull back pretty heavily to this 150 area, and then another catalyst. So these gaps will get filled at some point, but Oracle is on a bullish run right now, and we shall see where it goes from here. All right. Soft Bank. I don't know which one it is. I believe it's this one. No, I'm not sure what ticker that is, but let's go into a couple of others that were very, very bullish based off of this AI news that benefited from it. ARM and all of the semiconductors. Okay, so ARM, you can see here, it was in this consolidation. I had this nice trend line here on ARM. And the crazy thing about this is like, you can predict it, but this is where these black swan catalysts come in, is that yes, ARM was building and building and building and building, and you wanted to look at this breakout about 155 above these previous highs right here. And then you wake up in the morning and it's already gone, and you feel like you're chasing. Now, I know there's a lot of content creators and traders that may have caught this move. That's amazing, right? Personally, it was already gone by the time, and I felt like I was chasing, and it never gave a pullback. So, hey, I'm going to have to wait until ARM decides to consolidate right here, right, and take the next leg up potentially, and maybe we get another break, right, and it tries to go to that 200 mark again. Not again. Let me see. Where's the all-time highs? Yeah, 188. So it's trying to retest 188, which is another $10 up from here. So see if we can get some type of pullback on ARM. I'd love for a pullback back to this 165 area that it broke out of, which is not too far away. If it can somehow, if we can get some catalyst to bring it back down. I'm not sure if that'll happen after this major move, because we start getting retail investors like ourselves that start chasing this thing. And that's why I'm here to tell savvy investors to get in where you fit in, but just wait for that pullback if you can, and to add in heavier. Okay. So ARM, let's jump into a couple others on the semiconductor sector. MU popped, but not as much here because they weren't mentioned, quote unquote. But I do like this consolidation that MU is having in this area here. So it is in a channel. You want to make sure that you're watching out for MU. Does it break below this channel and we start to get quote unquote weak again, or do we break above 110 and we continue higher? So watch for that 110 break on MU, or a pullback into the lower end of the channel back to 90 as well. All right. Notable mention here, we've got Netflix that had earnings as well. See if Netflix can hold this 950 level here. 950 and 940 would be the Netflix level. That would be that previous all-time high for it to hold and try to retest the high. But amazing, amazing earnings from Netflix. Obviously, people took it to that 1,000 level and took their profits, and it's starting to come back down. So you want to see Netflix hold that level like that and see if it can hold that previous all-time high and start retesting back up. Okay. So keep an eye on Netflix. Any pullback on Netflix, I think personally, is a nice upside move. I'm pretty sure they'll have a stock split pretty soon if it does reach across that $1,000 mark. So that would be beautiful for people to pick up Netflix. So if you do pick up any shares of Netflix, you could get a potential 10-to-1 stock split. I'm not saying that it's going to happen, but typically that's what happens when a company gets above that $1,000 range, as we saw with ABGO, NVIDIA, SMCI, Amazon, so on and so forth. You can go down the list. All right. AMD, this is one of our long-term swing ideas for the year of 2025. Okay. So if you're not already positioned, if you've heard from various different content creators or anyone, yes, no one's copying anybody. If you're a savvy trader or investor, you got the same look that everyone else does. Okay. We're looking at AMD as a nice upside recovery for 2025 and even into 2026. So AMD has got to really get back above this 133 area. This is that level there at that yellow line for it to really pick up some bullish steam. Okay. Otherwise, AMD could have the potential to come lower one more time. Okay. Just one more time. And that's where I would really want AMD, is down into this 105 and 110 area. That's where I would go a little bit heavier. I'm already positioned into a little bit of AMD calls out until June and March. Okay. But I want to put heavier up back at the lower ends of 100 if possible. Okay. And the reason I'm saying that could happen is that we do have a little bit of a weak push up here. Okay. And how do you know, Dr. B, that this is a weak push? Is because as the market was continuously pushing higher, all the we got ARM, NVIDIA, and most of the semiconductor sector pushing very aggressively, AMD was grinding up. Okay. It didn't have a nice bullish candle that was going up like this. Okay. Very similar to ARM. Even NVIDIA had a nice bullish run there, gap up. AMD was just kind of lagging behind a little bit. You can even see QCOM kind of taking off a little bit today with that nice bullish move there. But AMD is just like, yeah, just slowly grind up here. So when I see that, sometimes it gives me an indication that it's just not having the strength that it needs. So I'm prepared for one more pullback like this. Okay. And if that happens, I am ready to load up even more. Okay. So watch this trend break. If AMD decides to go ahead and fill the rest of this gap back up to 127, watch that 127 area as an area of potential resistance in the short term. In the short term, for AMD to potentially start rolling over and coming out of here. Okay. So if you see AMD back below 120, I think it's going to start falling back to that 115 area. So watch AMD. You're more than welcome to pick up some AMD shares or AMD shares if you'd like. That's what we've been doing, picking up long calls on AMD. So calls options out until March, June. Some people are picking them up for the year, but AMDL is also a good share buying opportunity because if AMD recovers, AMDL will be back at $17, $20, so on and so forth, when AMD decides to pick up some steam back to the highs. So you could double your money from $7 back to $14 just with shares. All right. So there is that. Let's look at a couple other notable mentions, and then I'll look at crypto as well. NVIDIA. I know people like levels on NVIDIA and Tesla as well. NVIDIA looks like it just wants to retest 150. I could see that by the end of the week, just squeezing up to that 150 and maybe back into this 153 area. So I want to watch how that reacts up in here. So any pullbacks, that's the strategy right now. Ideally, we've been getting a lot of grindy action, a lot of gap ups continuously. So ideally what you would want is a nice pullback day like that. If it happens tomorrow, if it happens Friday, then you can pick up this dip back at 141 would be the best risk to reward on the upside, right? Because if you chase up here, right, and you're expecting to just jump into calls and it push immediately, it could, right? It could. But what if it pushes up just slightly and then decides to rip back down and you're wondering what in the world happened? It's just cooling off. It's pulling back to go higher. Okay. So if you do get in calls, I would suggest if you feel like you're chasing, just do lighter size personally. Okay. Lighter size personally. I am not, I'll just admit it here. I am not the best gap and go person. Okay. I am not the best gap and go person, meaning when news happens overnight and I wake up in the morning and the stock is already up, right? Some people, they're momentum traders, right? That means that whatever the direction is, they go ahead and hop in that direction immediately, right? That's cool. That's a type of trader or investor. I'm personally a risk to reward. So if I see something up already, $5, $6 overnight, right? I need a pullback personally. That's just me. Okay. That's just the way I trade personally. So if you're a client of mine or you're in our community, there's different types of investors or traders. So you have to decide what type you are. So if you're comfortable with just trading the trend and if it's momentum and you want to just hop the wave and keep going, you do that. I'm happy for, I congratulate anybody. I tell people like, hey, if you're in calls, great. Right. Like today on SPY, and I'll wrap us up here. If someone jumped into SPY was up from 603. It opened at about 605, right? 605 and some change, and then immediately pushed into 607. So when I see a stock or more so an index up that much overnight, I typically am looking for a deeper pullback for me to be comfortable jumping in calls. Okay. So that's what I was waiting on. And you see it's starting to happen towards the end of the day. Okay. So if you're in calls and you decide to take momentum, right, you jump in right off open and you just keep it momentum with the trade. You see it, you look at Robinhood, it's like, oh man, SPY and blah, blah, blah is up crazy, right? Cool. Trade the momentum. That's your prerogative. But then if you hold that all day and you never take profit, and then the next day it pulls all the way back, well, there you go. There's your risk. Okay. So just teaching everybody just a little something about risk to reward versus momentum. Okay. Obviously, we're very, very bullish. So you might see people playing puts and you're wondering why in the world would they play puts? Like there are traders out there that did play puts today. And you're like, why in the world would they do that? It's because they're trading risk to reward. We're in resistance. Okay. We're in back at all time highs. So they can essentially, I'm going to include myself in that. We can control our risk up here. We know that above 608, if it breaks above 608, cool, I'll stop out. Right. So here's how it would look on SPY. There's your risk right there. Here's your potential reward all the way back to 600 and 601. Right. Do you see that? All that green, if it goes above this red line up here, 608, cool, I'll stop out. I'll flip my sentiment. Right. But if I decide to jump in calls up here, we'll look at the risk to reward. Right. I can get a little bit more out of it, but if I don't take my profit and know that that's resistance, then I can fall and I'm in red. Right. And you're wondering what in the world's going on? That's when it gets very drastic. Right. So for a trader that trades risk to reward, when you get continuous gap ups, right? Gap, 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 and all the stuff is happening overnight, right? Sometimes we just sit back. It's like, hey, and that's where you hear people say like, it wasn't the best day. I didn't like today, whatever, because it doesn't give you an opportunity really to get in. So on a positive note, great. Long-term, this is where long-term plays a role. This is where your long calls play a role. This is where the fear and greed index plays a good opportunity. So don't get it twisted that, if you're in my community, part of Leverage University, that I did buy extreme fear and I bought fear, right? I did buy some shares, bought some, AMD, bought some Apple for out into March and whatnot. But as far as day trading, I'm like, I can't day trade when it continuously gaps up each day. Right? So, yeah, because we saw what happened here last time we got up here. We can rip right back down. Right. So that is a possibility, is that we can go a little bit higher and these gaps get filled again and we rip right back down. Maybe it's an earnings report or something like that from one of the tech names. So that is how volatile we are right now, is that it goes up, it comes down, it goes up, it comes down, and it can move within a week span, as you can see right now with this Trump market, 5 to 6% per week, just up and down. That's a lot, right? All right, let's jump into Apple really quick. Here's another notable name that I've got on high alert leading into their earnings. Apple's starting to form a nice doji candle here, a nice bullish candle. And if the week finishes off very bullish here, which we're already in some of these, right? Apple showed a lot of buyers stepping in today at that 219, 220 area, because it's a very good risk to reward. A lot of buyers in this area right here. There it is again, 220, 219. There it is right there again. There it is right there again. And then it has the potential to run back up to this 236 area right there. And if it breaks above that 240, 236, then we're back running to 250 plus. Okay. And here's how the candle would look, roughly like that. Okay. So earnings could send us there. So I would say that this is a really good risk to reward. It's Apple. I know they're getting beat down, but last time Apple got beat down, look what happened. Right. Back in October, got beat down all the way to 194 and went right back to 234 and then ran back to highs of 260. So pay attention to Apple. I'd highly recommend looking at that personally with this type of candle sitting right here on 220. And I would look at the March contracts personally, and not financial advice, obviously, but looking at the March, depending on your account size and what you're able to spend. You're more than welcome to look at the 250s, 240s. I know they're out of the money, but if you have a larger account and you want to do more in the money, there you go, the 220s. All right. Amazon, another notable name here, big bullish candle move. Um, just a nice clean bull flag. Amazon going to new all-time highs, and 240 is in watch, and then 250 obviously is trying to head towards. So watch Amazon remaining above this 232 and 230 area. So 230 and 232 supports for Amazon right now. So if we get any type of pullback to those areas, great opportunity for Amazon. Nice bullish move towards the end of the day here on Amazon. Just amazing. All right. Cool. I think that's about it. That's all I got. Making sure I went over everything. I think I did. Crypto still back and forth. 100,000 hovering around it, trying to get back up there, consolidating, still consolidating in this channel. If we do get a bigger crypto pullback, Coinbase is struggling at 300 right now. So we'll see what it does at 300. Does it pull all the way back down to 273? We shall see, but there's still a lot of gaps down below, and it is still showing bullish structure here. So we don't know just yet until it breaks out of those channels. Healthcare still coming up as well, slightly weak here. I am got my eyes still on Merck, AbbVie with big gaps above, a lot of risk to reward opportunity back on the upside. Eli Lilly getting a little bit weak here, but also could be a double bottom, still holding up these levels of 720. Okay, 720 and then 750. All right. Peace, love, and blessings to you all. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Hopefully this was of value to you. Just to update you really quickly on some levels and what I thought about the Stargate project and the new bullish run that's happening right now, where are the levels that are going to. If you want to tap in a little bit more into Leverage University and our Discord, make sure to click that link down below. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn those notifications. I would really appreciate it. Until next time, see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.